today with June. We're gonna make chica chica.
Chica to the max.
Yeah, chica to the max. A lot of you know that he's my fabulous friend.
Yes,
June
fabulous.
Arellano.
Take note of that.
He's like the principal dancer for most of KULARTS dance projects, and of course a costume designer since 2011 when we did the Huni.
Yeah.
What else? June trained with the Philippine women's.
Bayanihan.
Yeah, Bayanihan.
Because I came from PWU, so that's why it comes out naturally that I saw Bayanihan and then I got enticed into it, and then the rest is history. Right.
And then
we can talk more about Bayanihan later.
But then you also lived in New York.
Yeah,
so
I lived in New York
you
and
trained there as well.
I trained there at the Broadway Dance School.
But even before that, I remember you telling me that you choreographed for TV shows when you were a young student, trying to make some money on the side. It's a side hustle.
Yeah, those were the days when I was in the university. Yeah. It's it's one of those things. When you love dance, you try to find a way to do it.
Wow.
Even without your parents'
approval.
So you have to hide on it. It's because Filipinos were always pushed to just do school, and nothing but school when you're in the university. But of course, when you're an artist, I guess, part of you is going to look for what you love, right?
But then the approval of your parents, that must have approved because you were making a little bit of money.
Yes.
Right? Oh, and the other thing is that you were a model for
I don't know which one is that. Model for that.
The United was.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's not like that.
Oh, okay.
It's just it didn't happen. It's just that there was this. I don't know if it's an audition or it's an interview, and then a friend of mine actually asked me to go with her because it's an interview.
What's the big company?
United Colors of Benetton, I think it was. Was it. It was that one. I didn't know it was for that gig, but what I knew is that I'm applying for a sales representative in Shoemart because it's something like that. But I never realized it's actually more of like a modeling gig because a friend of mine actually
Why
brought
didn't you
me.
take it? You could have been famous.
Yeah,
June.
I know, right? I think when I was there, oh my God, it was really a very emotional kind of. It was more of like a roller coaster when I joined that. It's more of like I was the oddball, definitely oddball in a lot. It's because they came from Bueno Familia. They have all the money and then they have all this, and then me struggling in the university.
You were the pobre.
I was the pobre, and it's more of like, I don't think this is for me. It's because I have to concentrate on my school, and I have to follow my parents. It's because I think it's my gateway to get out of. It's not really a poverty. In fairness to my parents, they actually tried to provide as much as they could, but we're not well off. So I have to really go to school and and get my degree and use it as my
weapon. And plus you have the brains, why not? Brains and beauty.
Yeah, so I studied a lot. It's because I was a working student, so there are really days that, oh my God, I forgot that there is an exam for the next day, and for me, I said, what am I gonna do? So I will create small código, but I seldom use them anyway. Yeah.
So the first time that you were aware of KULARTS and participated in KULARTS was in 2007?
I think it was in 2007. It's because I moved in San Francisco in 2002 and I concentrated on my career. It's because I came from New York and moved here. So I have to concentrate on my work and prove myself because that's how it is, right? If you join a new company. But then, of course, again, part of me is just like, what am I going to do? I love dancing. I love folk dance. And then I started looking. And then I came across with KULARTS workshop. I think it was the Ifugao workshop.
Yeah, the
and
Ifugao.
I joined that particular one. I was still very shy at that time, but shy a little bit. In the first day, for the first
I have to say, he was very shy.
I was really shy.
And when I saw him, I was going, oh my gosh, look at that macho boy. Brown skin,
and then I started
muscle.
talking. And then I started talking. I said, ay, shit, ganda niya, di ba? June Arellano, hailed from Bataan, so Katagalugan. I'm working for a bank in the information technology and e-commerce thing. And I was transplanted to U.S. way back 1992. First in New York, I moved to San Francisco in 2002. And I enjoyed it. I was really craving for something to feed my soul, let's put it that way. It's because being in corporate is really very stressful. And I came across with that. And then that's it. And I think the rest is history. You introduced me to Eric Solano, who paved way for me to be a very good part of Parangal Dance Company. But joining Eric Solano at that time is still barangay. I was one of those who actually encouraged Eric to put his own company because I think it was time.
So you were a founding member of Parangal.
I am a founding member of Parangal.
And you're one of the principal members, and you toured with them internationally.
I toured with them.
And I think that's kind of like what I love so much about you, is that you present and also they're 100%. And also, like, if you see that your presence or your assistance is a little, you test things out and you weigh things, how your influence will influence the whole work, you know, because you're such a, such an artist. And the other thing is that you're open to many different kinds of art forms, you know, like you were in Kodakan, Filipinos in the city, the big
maybe you could see it there.
Yeah?
It's one of our background, actually.
Okay, wait a minute, where is it?
I think that one is very obvious. Yeah, that's me.
So,
in my pink fashion.
okay, right. Oh, there's June. Are you in here? No, this is the old one.
This is
so
supposed
the makeup.
to be me. If
Ah,
you
okay.
actually look closely, I look like him.
Oh.
Just kidding.
So this was from 2014, 2013, I think.
Kodakan is 2014.
Yeah,
It is
I think so.
2014.
Okay. There's one.
And then, I'm a performing artist, and then you introduced me to be a costume designer.
Yeah. So, and people, it's like, it was Huni.
Yeah, I think
And
it was Huni.
we're kind of like wondering how it started.
Yeah.
But again, I think part of it is like kind of stepping up, your own kind of like kusa, like
I
you
think
see something and you could do
it's
it.
more of like filling the gap, right? It's because at that time,
What a gap you filled for that one.
I don't know if it's a gap, but I think it came out in one of our conversation, like June, since you did I think it became organic. It's because I sort of like did it with one project before your project, before Huni. And then I sort of like...
what project is that?
No, Tagabanwa with Sydney. So I sort of assisted, but I was not official. I was not an official costume designer.
That's not a June design.
And then later on, when we were doing it, we started conversing about it, and then we talk about costume designer on this costume. What are we gonna do? And I started thinking about it, and then I explained to you what I'm seeing in my vision in terms of that, like distorting the camisa de chino, and then the pants and the skirt at the same time.
And then I remember arguing with you about the bark. And you go, Manay, we gotta do the bark.
You gotta do the bark.
But
and
Manay,
we did.
And we did it, and it's like fabulous, right?
Yeah. The bark is really, really good. It's because of how will I describe this? It's from the nature, and the way you looked at it, it's just a bark, but when you put it in the body of the people, it becomes something else, right? And then we have to use it also to create new look. It's because as much as possible, when we create a costume, you remove one, the remaining is still a costume, then you add a little bit thing so that it looks very different. Sometimes you have to create like 4 to 5 looks.
Yeah, because I think costume change is also,
is you have to consider
So
that.
just to kind of explain what the bark is that we're talking about. It's actually traditional, kind of tapa cloth of the Pacifica, and where it's from Palawan. And so the bark is like a bark of the tree, and then it's pounded.
Yeah.
And then,
there's
a whole process.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort.
And they can only make like this size at a time. So,
but it could be long.
Could be long.
It could
but
be long.
It's like
just this size.
Yeah. And it was usually used for bahags or loincloth. And also
the bra for the women.
The
and then we use it as belting. Those type of things. Yeah.
So then the next one that we did was Huni. No,
No, that was
not Huni.
Maseg.
Was it Maseg?
Was it?
No, it's She Can See,
She Who
right?
Can See, yeah. So yeah, She Who Can See, I think
Which
is
is
very
completely different. We sort of like went wild.
Yeah, went wild on that one. It's more of like, I think the inspiration for that is more like ghosts, right? So ghosts, it's because it's spirits and stuff like that. So we're in See Who Can See. That was the second project, and it's a totally different, right? We tried to make it more like modern, but at the same time, there still has to be some elements of we always have to be Filipino, by the way, or Asian, or a taste of that. So you can see it's very different from the Huni. So it's more of like a ghostly, eerie kind of thing, but fashion, and I hope you can see the fashion in there. And it's white, right?
Yeah.
So for this one, I think we have a lot of collaboration in this one, Manay. It's because I think you even find all those dresses, and then we just accentuated it with my thing. Yeah.
I mean, for me, that was also like in terms of my trajectory. She Can See is like a beginning of a new thing.
Yeah.
In that I was looking at immigration stories. So, and also for you, it's not folkloric.
It's not folkloric.
So it's completely like it. In some ways, it freed us.
It's totally different because I came from folkloric, right? I think even Huni was a little more folkloric inspired, but this one is really very different. So I'm also a performer, and See Who Can See, and at the same time, a costume designer. So I've got a lot of influence from Manay. Manay also, I think, has a lot of input into this costume. It's because she even saw some dresses in some of the local stores here in San Francisco. And then when we saw it, we kind of like put a twist to it. But it's still like, we really wanted to be eerie. That's what we wanted to do. That's the inspiration for this one.
So the interesting thing about that, June, is that when I went to Tawi-Tawi years later,
yeah,
I went to a ceremony, a ritual, and all of the shamans and the practitioners, they were wearing the same clothes we were wearing.
Yeah, you
with
told
the
me
floaty,
about that. With the
like the
floaty.
open shirt,
Yeah.
the overcoat in white, kind of, so just like ours. It's like their design in it, but it's like it's white hue. And they were all in white, and it was just like,
yeah, I think you told me about that, and we were both surprised.
I'm like,
right?
oh my gosh, and they're like dancing and
the
doing
energy are speaking to us. Were speaking to us at that time. At saka Manay, I think this is the first time that I experienced the presence of a spirit when I was dancing. I think I told you that, right? There was a part in the dance that I know the choreography so well because I was even the one teaching the other dancers to do it. But for some reason, I keep messing up. And then remember, I told you that, and then I got so scared. Why am I so messing up? I know what to do, but I cannot do it. It's because someone is trying to pull me out. But and I'm resisting it. And then the moment you said to me, just like, no, go with the flow, just let it. And then I started speaking to the spirits that's actually pulling me. And then I said, just dance with me. We're going to have to create, we want to make it beautiful. And then everything flows for me. So that was the very first time that I got a little bit of, not really a little bit of, that a goosebump that I'm experiencing something so different aside from just performing. That something is influencing me while I'm on stage. I would say I'm very, very feeling ecstatic while I'm moving with it. My breathing it's like having a synchronized breathing when I started to work with the spirit, whatever that is.
So did it happen again?
Because
it's such a beautiful feeling, right? And then you kind of
actually,
just wanna...
I think it did not. It hasn't, but I mean, it may have been, like, I think when we were in Hawaii, it's not a performance, but when we were actually, I think, shooting. Remember I told you in one of those, I think it's...
Which part?
Yeah, but it's not in it's not as you can see, but it's in a different
Lakbay,
project.
right?
Again, Lakbay D, which is very similar to it, right? So I told you that the inspiration that I got from it is from the nature. It's from the trees, it's from the bamboos, it's from the different things. I think it's more of like it's creating the magic for me rather than the movement. It is actually the location and then the scenery and the something. It's also very different feeling. It's the same, but it's a different feeling.
Was it in the bamboo grove?
But it was in the bamboo grove.
So your totem is the bamboo, because that was the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, so those are the things. So that's, you can see the eerie part of my performance in
A
my
lot of people are
costume
gonna
design
watch
with-
this and they're going, "Oh my gosh, that June,
Yeah.
woo
Yeah, that's
So the next
experience.
one was Maseg.
Maseg, yeah, it's
Back to
back to
folkloric.
folkloric, back to Sydney's work. And
How
that's
much
a
fun
different
did you
thing.
have for that one? Because we had like,
Oh my God, that was intense,
Yeah.
right?
We
It was
had
a very
so much
intense,
beautiful
yeah,
things.
beautiful things that happened in there. I think so much. Yeah, I think that was one of my proudest.
okay.
Costume, costume designing is the proudest moment because I have a lot. I have a lot of, and then the process as well, like because we've been talking about it for quite a while. So I have a lot of, and then I'm now, since I'm becoming an official costume design for KULARTS project, I started thinking ahead in terms of those, even at the time of the brainstorming. So I've been thinking a lot of those things, even with salukot, using it as as the wind kind of things, those different types of things. Yeah, I had so much fun to it.
And so then how is it different with Manong?
Which one, the Maseg?
Oh wait, because we also
No.
did by Makiling.
We did by Makiling, yeah. And then 6x9, don't forget
my
6x9,
gosh.
our
6x9.
nominated
Oh my
piece.
6x9.
6x9.
So that one is completely out of your folkloric realm.
Yeah, the 6x9 is definitely,
Yeah.
I have to be a man. I have to act like a man. It's because, no, I'm not a man there. I was actually a 6x9 incarcerated gay, but yeah. So that's a very different, it's another intense, right? That 6x9
intense.
is also very intense. Yeah, my character as Hess is very different there too. I have to be a sadomasochist. I had so many roles in that one, aside from.
But even with Maseg, your role was really intense.
Yeah.
You were like, right? You were the
intense.
evil.
Yeah, I was the evil
That too,
guy,
right?
that too.
I think you had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, I have to torture Greg. I have to torture everybody in that. I was the bad spirit at that time, yeah. And so, 6x9 also is very good. 6x9 is very challenging because we tried to do it. I think that was our very first futuristic approach.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and especially since we're dealing with incarceration, we always think about the usual prisoner thing, like costume or attire, like orange or something. But we decided to get away with it, and then initially I was thinking of using white. It's because I was thinking that 6x9 in some ways is more of like because we have to rehabilitate. The key there, I think, for me is rehabilitation. So that's why I thought about white. And then so I'm thinking to use lab gowns as an inspiration for it. So because we said it's futuristic, right? So I want the Bilibid or the prisons to be more of like rehabilitation rather than a torture for some people. I think is the basic idea. So I look in gray. So it's black, but not really black. So it's a combination of the two. So that's why that was the inspiration for me there. It's the rehabilitation. I don't like to use black. I don't like to use orange. It's because it's the usual. And I don't like to use white. So I said like, oh, gray probably is. So that's why you see a lot of gray in the 6x9. It was a little bit hard because it's futuristic, right? But I think it gave me a sense of freedom in breaking my mold again, right? It's not very Filipino. There's no Filipino element on this one. It's because it's more of like a modern kind of twist, right? There's not much, or is there? There are some.
No, we did the shoot. We did the shoot with the priest and the women with the corona.
Yeah, that one.
But
it's
around
like,
religion.
Yeah,
right?
that was inspired by my character.
Right. Yeah.
Which I was Hess. I was an incarcerated gay, and as an incarcerated gay, and at the same time Filipino, coming from a very Catholic Catholic background, right? So for me, I use those elements. It's because those were those are the things that actually, like, being gay and being Catholic.
But that's
it's basically
where,
my challenge
right,
as a
but,
character of Les. Yeah.
But that was why that character was created. Was I don't know if you remember us talking about it.
Yeah, because that was my
the
struggle.
conflict.
The conflict, yeah.
So, and that you weren't the only one, but that was like so personal to you. It's like, well, why don't we use that?
It was really very personal because that was really a struggle. I was I came from a very religious family, and I am religious growing up. So even in elementary, member of a Legion of Mary. I go to church on Saturday, and then because we have this Legion of Mary meeting, and then I will lead that particular group of people. Like, we call us, like, servants of Mary. I basically, it's on a Saturday because we have to prepare the church for the following day, for the service on a Sunday, which is usually the Sunday Mass. So we put the flowers, we clean the whole church. So that's how I was intended. And then growing as a gay too, it's because I tried to lean into the religion, trying to pay, basically, probably because we're in the Philippines. If you're gay, it's a sin, right?
Yeah.
It's a sin to be gay. So for part of me is like you have to repent for your sins. So that's why I became very religious in that aspect. But,
so you sin all week and then you...
No, as a kid, I don't. But it happened naturally that way. So I started looking into... Yeah. So yun, naghanap naman ako ng, well, if it's a sin, then I think it's not a sin. It's because it's part of me. So I started looking for explanation on it. And then I came into realization spirituality and sexuality are two different things. And then so it has to coexist. If it doesn't coexist, and then who are you, right? What are we? It's part of being human. It's part of being who you are. It's because those are two different things, and it has to coexist, and you have to embrace more. So that happened to me. High school when it happened. It's because I even one of those people who actually look for a scientific explanation of what's happening to me. Is it genes? Is it peril? Is it boon? Is it peril? Is it science? I start to look on that. I cannot find an answer. Growing up as gay, I think I'm very supported by my parents. Oh, let's put it this way. My dad is a deputy chief of police. So the macho, right? The macho. And I'm carrying his name because I'm Ladislao Arellano. So Junior. So everyone will be expecting that I will follow my dad's footsteps and become a policeman. But of course, when I came out of my mother's womb, I said, "Hi, Mom." I cannot be a policeman. A policewoman, probably, yes. So yun yung story ko sa that. And I had a very emotional talk with my dad. This is me prior to going to university in Manila, graduating from high school and from the province.
But wait a minute. I know that you were a valedictorian. You were such a smart...
Elementary valedictorian.
Diba?
Honorable mention when I was...
Syempre, in a Filipino family, that is like major. If you got a child, so, bading or not, got brains, may kapasidad, di ba?
Yeah. Siguro yun na lang din yung nagtulak sa akin because I know I'm gay and I'm different and I have to prove myself that I can do whatever others can do.
So you played basketball?
I tried playing basketball, but I fell in love with volleyball. I tried swimming, but I go to gymnastics, just kidding. Hindi, ganun talaga. So I tried. I think I'm very, very competitive. It's because growing up in high school, I tried to compete with men. And at the same time, I tried to compete with women because that's how I see myself, a mixture of both. Competitive ako. Kasi if the guys are like, very athletic, I want to be very athletic too. I play basketball, I play volleyball, and I joined CAT.
Ano yun?
Yeah, citizen army training. I want to be an officer. I work in those kind of things. Yeah. So what a man can do, I can do. What a woman can do, I can do. That was my mantra at the same time in high school. So that's why I was very competitive. Yeah. So So for my parents, it's really very different. So masaya talaga. Kasi even my dad, yun na nga sabi ko, before me going to university, I think we're having we just had lunch. And then, and then me and my dad was like, it's just me and my dad having lunch. I don't know what happened to the other family members, that it was just me.
They sneaked
and my
off.
dad, yeah. And then when I was like, we have to set the table, clean the table up. And then when my dad brought up about me and my sexuality, but it was in a very poetic, in a very lovable way. He said like, I have to translate it in English so that everyone can actually do it.
But say it in Tagalog.
Tagalog, right? Tagalog
muna.
siguro. Tagalog. So, anak ko, alam ko iba ka. Ay, naku, I might cry. Uy, ako eh.
No.
Ay, ang pangit nito ah. Ayoko maging pangit. Sabi ko, anak ko, alam ko iba ka. Magiging pinakamaligayang tatay ako kung pupunta ka doon sa pagiging diretso ba. Pero, magiging pinakamalungkod akong tatay kung gagawin mo lang yun para sa akin. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
It was very sweet. Like, he's really hoping that I'm not gay, of course, because,
It's
being
hard,
junior,
it's
because it was really hard for them. But then I know that he accepts me fully and he loves me more than, probably more than my other siblings. It's because I needed attention or something like that. And then he said like, I will be the loneliest dad if you're only gonna do it just for me. So, nako, siyempre, pagdating ko ng Manila, I was holding to that, and I think that was my source of inspiration to strive more and harder on my education, because I wanna prove my dad is right. I don't want to give my dad any excuse, that I'm a failure. So I think that's basically pulled me into that, study lang, aral, ganun.
That's so
So
beautiful.
yun, di ba? Very beautiful, very
it's
poetic.
gorgeous.
Sabi ko, maiiyak nga ako nun pag sinabi
That
ko
is so rare. It's so precious because not a lot of parents are. I mean, there are parents like that, but we always hear about the negatives, because of religion. But I do think that there are more parents that are acceptable.
So yun, ang madramang buhay ko sa dad ko. Pero punta naman tayo dun sa light part of my dad existence in my childhood and as a gay. So Deputy Chief of Police, right? So ang dami niya kasamang mga police. And then I don't have a coming out story, but I try to tell this as a coming out. My dad coming out, not my dad coming out, but my dad outed me. Outed me in the public, and it was in a very funny way. So, kasi one of the policemen that he works with was actually complaining that his son is gay. So, sabi nga, and then my dad butted in, and I said like, what's your problem? Mine is even junior. So mine is even junior, and I haven't came out that yet. And then one of our, I think somebody overheard it, and then of course told me the story about it. And I find it so funny because every time people are asking me if I have a coming out story, I don't. But that is always the one that's coming out in my head, that my dad basically outed me to his comrades as a policeman, and it was in a very funny.
He was
proud of it, and it was in a funny way. Anong inaano mo? Sa akin nga junior pa. Di ba? So yun ang ano ko. So I'm very proud of my dad when it comes to accepting my sexuality, and my whole family as well, I think. Yeah. Yun. So teka, punta na tayo. Buhay ko na yung ano ko. Doon naman tayo sa mga iba pang
Okay,
project
so what was
natin
we did
na ginawa with
6x9, and then the next one was Manong.
Yeah,
right?
Manong na. So
Yeah.
which is coming out. I'm the Manong.
Right?
Mahirap tong Manong. Kasi
Bakit?
iba naman to. Kasi dinated mo to eh. Yung before. So,
Period.
period siya. So, ang hirap din ng costume, ang hirap maghanap. Saka kung maghanap ka talaga ng mga vintage or mga mahal. So, we created, and I think we were able to create something for this one. Especially for the men. For the men, it's very easy because it's just like, all those manong. We have a lot of blazers,
suits,
and then suspenders.
It's a goodwill.
It's a goodwill.
Goodwill
It's
design.
a goodwill and out of the closet design,
design.
because I have to go to those places and look for those and look for inspiration from those places.
it's hard because our budget is so small, and then we have to go through those dresses and those clothes are not really available. In most, like secondhand store.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think because also there's an element of diwata in that, and that's
I think that's the one that I have some sense of really costuming. It's more of like the diwata because I love that story. By the way, Manay, I was so surprised with the way you created it. It's because you said that these are heroes. These manongs are the saints that basically fave way. They're basically with us. So that's how you explain to me the character, and so that's how we create it. And then I think that's when I became the folkloric aspect of me, like the diwata. So I use a lot of Filipino elements in this one as well.
Yeah.
For the diwata costuming.
The next one is
so what's the
nursing, and we haven't actually...
We haven't talked about it
No,
yet.
we haven't.
Yeah, so...
And I want it to be more kind of futuristic.
Futuristic
or maybe
as well.
nondescript time period, or... I don't know. I'm still developing it, but you know what I'm really in love with is those 70s big collars.
Yeah.
The cuello that's like
Good.
that's long.
I think yeah. So when you talk about it, I started looking for inspiration also.
Because right now the nurses are it's just so pangit.
Scrub
the
lang.
Scrub is
Para kang
like,
matutulog, diba?
and everybody uses it. So, but the old, like some of the old,
designs
uniforms,
we can create.
yeah.
Even the
hat,
the cap for the women.
But I was talking to Han, and she said that in the Philippines, even though they don't use the cap, they still have the cap to graduate.
To graduate, yeah.
So,
even right now, they even have a ceremony called capping.
Okay.
I think that's when you finish your second year. That's when your second year is because on your third year, most of this when you really can say you're majoring in nursing, because the first 2 years are basically preparatory. So that's why they have the capping.
I mean, also we're still developing it, and we're doing all kinds of public participation with the nurses. We did the panel. We're planning on interviews. So, this is now we're just talking about the process that we're going through to.
Yep.
Hopefully, we'll come up with something.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I think I'm gonna inject the pandemic as part of this, right? It's because I think I'm seeking a lot of inspirations from what happened to the pandemic. Soldiers, nurses, medical field, future. So those are the things that I'm looking into trying to come up with something that's
also I think what's inspiring in terms of costuming from the pandemic is the shields that they have to use.
The shields,
the helmets that
and
have
then
to use.
even this, and then every time we will be talking about pandemic, we will be talking about oxygens, intubators, and those type of things. And I think those are the things that we can look into, like covering your things is because you couldn't see it, so that's you have to cover yourself physically.
So I think the challenge that we're going to face is that because this is dance, is how the dancers are going to be able to move.
Move with that, yes.
Yeah, I want to kind of break open, kind of like what are their personhoods, what are their challenges at home, like the personalities, so that they're human and not just like the ones working in the hospital that are super tired. So. And I think that's probably a trajectory of the work that I've been doing anyway.
And then also when I'm thinking about, when we talk about the pandemic, it's also the face mask, right? And as a dancer, you use your face to actually convey certain emotions. And if we have to cover it, so what are we going to do, right?
But what we didn't talk about,
right?
what didn't talk about is Lakbay Diwa. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah, we did not talk about Lakbay Diwa. Oh my God, how can we forget
So in the middle of the pandemic, tell them how we dealt with it.
How it evolved, right? How it evolved. Yeah, it's supposed to be just like a performance, right? And then because of the pandemic happens, then it becomes more of like a ritual. A ritual, and basically, an offering.
Well, it was actually that was the idea of the concept of Lakbay Diwa. But I think because of the pandemic, the design. We have to incorporate. You have to incorporate that. It's like the mask. Yeah. So and then again, that's when my being Filipino again sets in. It's because we tried to use the fabric from the Philippines. Those type of
Kalinga, Tiboli or whatever. We have even like, Maguindanao, we use it so that that gave me some sense of accomplishment. It's because even though Lakbay Diwa is, again, ethereal is my inspiration for it. And then the most challenging part there is that each individual has to look very different, right? But at the same time, you have to come up with something that makes it cohesive at the same time. That it's really like, they blend, but every single person looks different. Yeah. So that's the most challenge on it. That's like my hair. I have to pulling it. And then another challenge is you keep adding adding dancers. I thought I'm already done. I'm already done. Oh shit, I have to come up with 2 looks again.
So June, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, I have to work with your project. Or
But you were threatening to go to the Philippines.
Yeah, I'm threatening. Yeah, actually, if this pandemic is, is in like an acceptable level or in a safer mode, but I should probably be in the Philippines by now. So, but the thing is, I tried to hold back again coming there. It's because of also my fear. It's because at least here in the US, we have a lot of resources in terms of vaccination. Going to the Philippines, we're still very struggling right now. So I hold off. I look at the situation and say, the Diwata doesn't want you to go home yet, or the energy or whatever, the spirit, so stay here. So I'm going to be working again. I'm starting a new job. August 2 is my first day, so that's what's next. So hopefully, when the pandemic, hopefully this pandemic is over so I can go back. It's because, for me, I think I'm having a 360 degrees, right? I think I told you this one, that part of me, something is missing in my stage right now, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it here, and I think always what's sticking me is that I want to give back, but I want to give back to my community where I grew up, or basically just like in the Philippines. So I've been really entertaining this thought, or like processing in my head. I have to go home. I have to go home. It's because I think what I'm trying to find is home. I want to go back in the 360 degrees and be able to serve back there. So that's why I really wanted to go back. So hopefully that happens. So, well, I can still help you when I'm there. I might even be able to help you more when I'm there. It's because you will have more resources to help me out, rather than just me and then me going around and trying to look. But anyway, most of our costumes are actually made in the Philippines. It's because that's one of the things that I really wanted to do, is to give back. Yeah. So every time I go there, I try to get something, and then so that I give back to the community in the Philippines. So that's what's next. So maybe in a year, or hopefully in a year, I can go back to the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I hope my work allows me to do that.
You think you can work remotely?
Well, I think the fact that we can already do remotely, and we've proven it already for a year, that some work can be done remotely, why not, right? Hopefully they allow me. Otherwise, I'll try to find a company that will give me that opportunity when the pandemic is, in a manageable stage, that it's safe again to travel back and forth, US or other countries or Philippines. Yeah.
So here we are. This is our conversation with June Arellano, Ladislao,
Just create.
Junior.
To everyone, just keep creating, feeding your soul.
Thank you so much for listening to our Chika Chika.
Oh.
Until next time.
I hope I still look good when I cry. I became emotional. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes. Thank you, Manay, for having this time with me.